Federal public health officials reporting high levels of respiratory illnesses, flu, COVID, and RSV across the U.S.
11 states, including Georgia and Kentucky, in the very high category. Emergency room visits are up, especially for flu, which accounts for over 3% of visits. Pediatric flu deaths have reached 11 this season, with 200 children lost last year. Hospitalization rates follow a similar trend led by flu and COVID. The CDC expects cases to climb in the coming weeks.
ABC's Dave Packer. Snow in the Deep South?
It happens maybe every 5 to 10 years.
Kelsey Bond in Atlanta, where a winter storm warning is in effect.
I remember there being a big snowpocalypse when I was in high school and another one when I was in college, but it's pretty rare. It's a big deal when there's this much snow in Atlanta.
Delta Airlines says it isn't sure if the snow played a role. The Atlanta to Minneapolis flight aborted takeoff after an engine issue.
The footage obtained by ABC News shows that Delta plane stuck on the tarmac with those emergency inflatable sliders coming out of the plane. We see a lot of those passengers frantically exiting the plane, essentially trying to get away from the area as fast as they could.
ABC's Ike Ejiochi, 4 passengers hurt. This happening as global planetary scientists declared 2024 the hottest year ever. The jump so large that planet Earth temporarily blew through a major climate threshold. Richard Cantu, ABC News.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Good afternoon. I'm Will Theorite with your KVNU News update as we have a storm headed our way that's going to be bringing some snow coming up overnight tonight. I'll check your weather forecast in just a minute. Well, Nucor Corporation has announced it's set to build a $200 million production facility in Brigham City that will create around 200 full-time jobs. That's the latest investment from Nucor in northern Utah, which already operates several facilities in Box Elder County. Now, the state-of-the-art facility will feature advanced automation and hot-dip galvanizing capabilities, along with leveraging proximity to Nucor's steel mills in Plymouth for efficient material supply. Now, the project is supported by tax incentives from the Utah Inland Port Authority and the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. Local leaders have praised the investment as a boost to northern Utah's economy and job market. Well, an 18-year-old was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in prison earlier this week for shooting and killing his sister in the family home. Joseph Michael Landers of Salt Lake City pulled a gun out of his pocket in a room that he was in with his 13-year-old sister, Keisha Hernandez, and 3 other children. The charging document said that the sister had asked, "What if you accidentally do pull it?" before Landers put a clip in the gun and cocked it to scare her. Now, the others in the room told officers that Landers was pointing the gun at his sister's head, asking if he should shoot her before pulling the trigger. Now, after he did shoot her, witnesses said he seemed upset and ran from the room. Now, 3rd District Judge Matthew Bates issued the sentence and gave Landers credit on Monday for the time that he had already spent in custody. Multiple employees, meanwhile, of the Weber County Youth Facility, where Landers has been staying, wrote letters to the judge saying he accepts responsibility and is committed to improving. Now, before sentencing, Landers and his mother spoke to the judge for several minutes. And drivers were backed up for more than 8 miles on Interstate 15 yesterday after a semi involved in a police chase caught fire after officers were able to bring it to a stop. Now, the incident began Thursday afternoon at around 3:30, about 3 miles north of Beaver. Officials with the Utah Highway Patrol confirmed that they were assisting the Sevier County Sheriff's Office with a vehicle pursuit involving a semi when it drove onto the interstate. Now, Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden said the semi was brought to a stop and then caught fire. It began when someone had reported the truck was driving recklessly on westbound Interstate 70. Now, Sheriff Nathan Curtis said a deputy initiated a traffic stop, but the driver would not pull over. Troopers were called in to help and deployed tire spikes. However, the truck again failed to stop, Curtis said. Now, heavy smoke could be seen coming from the rims, and when the truck eventually came to a stop, the driver stepped out of the cab and was taken into custody without incident. Sheriff Curtis said the fire grew until the semi was engulfed in flames. Crews from the Beaver Fire Department were called in to put out the blaze. No one was injured. According to police reports, the driver of that semi truck had called earlier and told police that he was going to die. Well, snow coming in the forecast as we're expected to see 1 to 2 inches of snow possible overnight tonight. More are expected to fall in the mountains as we hit the low 30s today. Tonight we're going to drop into the low 20s and then be back into the low 30s for tomorrow. The snow expected to start tapering off tomorrow into tomorrow afternoon. Storm should be out of the area by tomorrow night, as it's going to leave some cold temperatures. Sunday into Monday, highs expected to be only around the high 20s, with overnight temperatures down into the single digits for next week. News and weather brought to you by Triton Medical Supply and Transportation. Remember Triton because not only can they provide you with the best in top quality soft goods, but they can also get you to and from non-emergency medical appointments. It's Triton Medical Supply and Transportation. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update.
Nestled in the heart of breathtaking landscape, Maple Creek Ranch on the north end of Cache Valley is more than just land. It's where your story begins. It's the perfect location for building your dream home. But only a few lots remain, so act now to claim your piece of paradise. Imagine mornings with breathtaking views, evenings by the fire,
shop for your insurance needs. Give us a call today, 435-752-0101.
Ladies, have you ever felt bloated for no good reason? Pelvic pain or pressure? Too full, too fast, even if you're eating just a about gynecologic cancers, call 1-800-CDC-INFO. That's 1-800-CDC-INFO. A message from HHS and CDC's Inside Knowledge campaign.
Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
I was in the hospital with my son for 18 months.
When he got injured, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to be strong.
When I was told about John's injury, I was in complete shock. I just remember rushing into his room and giving him a big hug and letting him know I was there.
These veterans and families are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For thousands of severely injured veterans, everyday life is filled with barriers.
It was really the little things throughout the house. Counters that you can't roll up to. I had to drag my wheelchair down steps.
I want to help, but he is so determined.
At Homes for Our Troops, we build specially adapted custom homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and automatic door openers that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family.
This house is freedom. It's hope. It's a new beginning.
This house has given me my family back.
To learn more, visit hfotusa.org.
Get your furnace fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed, call Gary Riggs. If you're having heating trouble and you need your furnace fixed, just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your furnace fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your furnace fixed, call Gary Riggs.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Every day, Doctors Without Borders teams confront hard facts in conflict and crisis zones. When others might look away, we step in to act. Because measles still kills more than 100,000 children every year. We're there to vaccinate over 1 million worldwide, including those affected by the current outbreak in Democratic Republic of Congo. Because half of all maternal deaths occur during delivery or within 24 hours. We've assisted more than 1.4 million births around the world, including care for new mothers in Afghanistan. Because some countries only have 1 or 2 mental health professionals, we offer counseling and clinical care, providing over 400,000 mental health consultations worldwide last year, including care for migrants and refugees on the dangerous journey north from Central America. The fact is, your acts of care and compassion make our life-saving work possible. Picture the impact we can have together. DoctorsWithoutBorders.org.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio, recapping 2024, looking ahead at 2025. Part 2 of us doing this, by the way, because there was so much in 2024. And I think you made it up to like July in your A's and B's. And last week we did the avoid list.
Yeah.
So if you missed that, grab the podcast. But,
yeah.
This week we're doing the things you should have seen.
So right now in time, just so you know where we are, we're in May. That's where we are, Jason.
I thought we made it to July. Sorry.
No, we're good. Okay. We're in May.
We can
it's not too hot, not too cool, not sweltering yet. Yeah, the next movie I gave an A to was Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Speaking of underperforming, that was the next one that flamed to the discussion again of our theater's dead. Yeah. This movie had no reason, again, so good.
Very good.
Chris Hemsworth, I nominated for an award just for his performance. He was a bad guy, villain, did a great job.
A funny villain.
Yeah, it just was, it just was everything it was action-packed, great cinematography. I love to watch action. George Miller's, he's perfect at this, where, I'm never at a point where I'm like, what's going on? Like, there's so many quick cuts.
Yeah.
It's just like
he's
emotion sick.
He's a master of editing.
He is.
And he's also, for those that don't know this, George Miller is known for. So when you see these newer Mad Max films, very little is CGI.
Yeah.
Very
little.
They actually choreograph these car scenes.
A lot of crashes, a lot of fire.
Yeah.
The next movie after that, as we kind of keep cruising through the year, some of these are no-brainers. Inside Out 2 was a straight A for me. I mean, it's very rare. People get kind of, I don't know, they kind of thumb their nose sometimes at sequels. They're like, don't we have any original content? Well, how is a sequel not original?
Never understood that critique.
Just because it's part of the same world doesn't mean it's not original.
Well, and also, it's not like this. I mean, at a certain point, you could have a conversation about finite theater space and things like that. But we're nowhere near capacity.
Well, movies like Inside Out 2 that make
doesn't really take away from anything.
$1 billion worldwide. Those movies have to be made to be able to fund movies like The Bike Riders, which is the next movie.
Andor season 2.
Segue. That I gave an A to. It's interesting. I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself. And I may have to call for a special vote at the Utah Film Critics Association Awards.
You'd like to amend your ballot?
Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. I just, as I was thinking about movies and stuff, there's so many good performances over the last, 3 or 4 months that I completely forgot about Jodie Comer in The Bike Riders. She did so good.
Oh, I forgot about The Bike Riders. That was this year.
Now The Bike Riders wasn't to me.
And I left that off one of my. I had more fun seeing that movie though.
Yeah.
Not fun. Maybe isn't the right word. I sat down. That movie happened, and I left, and it was like time. That was a good. That's what movies are supposed to do.
Yeah.
I can't believe I forgot that was this year.
I messed that up. I not messed it up, but I wish she's probably in my honorable mention. She's in my honorable mention. So
I really honestly did not even remember it was this year, though.
This just also shows, too, timing is sometimes everything. And I think The Bike Riders probably should have been a November movie.
Timing. Yeah.
That's an award season November movie. That's not a June 20th,
right. They released that right in summer blockbuster season.
Bad timing. Terrible, terrible placement by the studio. I also gave an A to A Quiet Place Day One. That movie, again, underperformed. That movie is carried by Lupita Nyong'o.
So good.
Her acting is like interstellar. It's just out of this world. Really, she's
great voice actress too.
She's so good
this year.
So good. The next movie I gave an A to was Long Legs. We spent a lot of time talking about this in the summer. Just a very
another example of how you can make something super scary without like a big monster.
Booger.
Yeah. and some violence, I guess.
Just preys on your fears. Your there's a scene in Long Legs that the FBI agent, she kind of looks out. She thinks there's somebody out in her yard. It's very dark. She goes outside with her gun and flashlight. And the camera pans around, and it's just kind of one of those basic shots that you've seen in other movies
that you think is going to be predictable if you've seen a lot of horror movies.
And it pans around, and in the background you see out of focus somebody's in her house now. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like a shape going.
Yeah, super creepy.
Yeah, I love stuff like that though.
I gave an A to Deadpool and Wolverine. It was hard not to. It was one of those things that we've been waiting a long time for. Just that movie had almost honestly, they had so much. It was packed full. Like, when you
almost too much.
Yeah. When you go on a trip and you're like, you're sitting on your suitcase, really just trying to make it close. That's the visual representation of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
You're just like, oh, come on, one more cameo. But it wasn't
the opening scene with the bones and so perfect. The way everything about all three movies, the way they send up everything.
Yes.
And then one thing I will say though, Deadpool 3 was the first one that you really needed to be a Marvel fan to get every joke.
Yeah, I think so.
You had to know
there was
everything that happened in every Marvel movie.
I feel like I'm a fan, and I was like, hey,
and some of the Marvel
what's going on?
There's even a pretty long running joke in Deadpool 3 that was based on a movie Marvel wants you to forget they made.
Yes.
Chris Evans shows up, but not as Captain America.
No,
and that's
you're right.
hilarious to me. But yeah, I saw it with someone that had only seen like the Avengers films, nothing else, and she. There were a lot of times that she wasn't laughing because she didn't understand. Like when Chris Evans shows up and the way he shows up, the theater erupted in laughter, and she didn't get it, and I couldn't explain it because we're in the movie.
Well, couple things too, just a few other. So as we keep going down, I said long legs, Deadpool, Wolverine, Alien Romulus, another A from me.
Yeah,
just a nice return to kind of
that first Alien.
Yeah.
That kind of creepy and scary.
Mm-hmm. Then Challengers. Did you see Challengers?
No, actually, that's on my list. So I have a list of movies I missed in 2024 that I didn't want to. Challengers is one.
That movie messed with my head. It's got.
I just like everyone in it.
Yeah, it's a great cast.
That's why I wanted to see it.
Great cast, but it messes with your head so much because it's got that like kind of anxiety and anticipation of like a of a sports movie. Pardon me.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm good, but I'm just so verklempt because of my love of Challengers.
Verklempt.
But it also has.
I can talk while you choke.
No, I'm good now. It also has that kind of this romantic tension as well, and so you've got these two like lanes of tension in this movie that just editing's great, soundtrack. I mean, soundtrack like it's songs.
I did get to know the. You gonna be all right? Do you need a beverage? It always hits when you're in the middle of the July to August portion of your best of the year. No, I'm trying to find my list of movies I didn't get a chance to see that I wanted to. I know that was on it, and there were 3 others.
Well, let me ask you, did you see Saturday Night?
No, that was one, again, that I wanted to see. The Saturday Night Live fictional or fictionalized true story.
I gave that an A. That was fantastic. Again, I had put that, I think, on my ballot for Ensemble Cast because it was hard to pick one performance.
That just came and went so fast. I missed it.
Again, yeah, people say, well, there's no original content. Well, you missed that one.
Yeah, I think that was only in theaters for like a week here in Logan.
Yeah, it wasn't for a long time. There was also another movie. Did you see Monkey Man?
Yes. I
gave that an A. That was fantastic.
I did actually see Monkey Man.
The Wild Robot.
Didn't expect to like that one.
Yeah.
That was another surprise.
Well, and that's actually directed by Dev Patel. Not only acted in, but directed. So that was kind of cool to see him sort of take the helm.
Yeah.
The Wild Robot, I give a straight A to. That was not only on my Best Picture nomination list, but also my Best Animated Film.
Again with the Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes, again, driven. That voice cast, we need to start giving more attention to voice acting and to, like, when we're doing motion capture and things like that.
There were some unexpecteds on there because I thought the guy who voices the main character, supporting main character, the baby duck, I thought that was some of the best voice acting I'd seen in a long time. So I went and looked this person up, and a relative nobody.
Yeah,
like just
100%.
He was in a Netflix series that was super, super popular on Netflix. But other than that, he's just done a few plays, and that was some good casting.
To kind of round out, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these other ones, but I'm just going to start listing some movies here.
Okay.
As we're kind of slowing down and winding out of time for today's show. But some of the rest of my A's for the year: Wicked, The Substance with Demi Moore. I can't recommend that.
Forgot about that too.
It is.
That was
gooey.
Yeah,
be prepared, but it's good.
Yeah, really good.
Heretic with Hugh Grant, the Mormon missionary.
Yeah,
that was one of the most original kind of creepy, scary movies I've seen in a while.
I didn't think he'd be able to pull off creepy like that.
He does a good job.
I really thought it's Hugh Grant. There's no way he'll be able to do it, and he did.
Yeah,
and it's not over the top creepy either.
No,
that's a good movie.
Another one that is kind of under the radar is a movie with Jude Law called The Order, about a FBI agent facing. It's a true story. I did not know this until after I saw it.
I didn't know that.
Facing off against white supremacist Nazi kind of people over in surprise.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Northern Idaho. There's another movie. We've talked about this one before. Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh, We Live in Time. I gave that an A.
Also one that I thought should have maybe been bigger.
Mm-hmm. Nosferatu got an A from me. Conclave. There's a movie streaming on Netflix right now called His Three Daughters. Can't recommend that enough. Just fantastic movie. Love Lies Bleeding I wasn't sure how I watched. I didn't see this in theaters. It was streaming on HBO Max or whatever you want to call it, HBO Max, and I just thought it was so. I think I actually nominated it for Best Original Screenplay in our awards because it was just so clever.
That fits.
Music by John Williams. If you haven't seen that documentary on Disney Plus, I would highly recommend that. I gave that an A. I mean, that was just a tour through my childhood.
That's another one that I missed.
Yeah,
I forgot about music.
That if you have Disney Plus, check that one out. It's so good.
That's on Disney Plus now.
Yep.
I've been trying to Google as you've been listening here. Most of these are available somewhere.
Yes. Yeah.
Most of what you've mentioned.
A few more that I gave A's to. I gave an A to The Brutalist. That's actually one that made our list, our nominee list for Best Pictures. In fact, all of the Best Picture ones that are on our Utah Film Critics nominations, The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, The Substance, Tuesday with Julia Louis-Dreyfus is just will pull your heart out.
Yeah.
The Wild Robot made our top. I think actually we did 6 this year because we had a tie. Anora is one that I was actually a little disappointed didn't make our Best Picture list. It was one of my top 5.
Really good.
Yeah, it's just basically like the 2024, I would say, TikTok generation's Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
It's really good. September 5th got an A from me. There's another movie that I'm not sure where you can see this, but it's called Sing Sing. That's just Coleman Domingo. So good. And I think actually, we nominated him for Best Lead Performance from a Male.
Actually, that's the first one you mentioned that isn't streaming somewhere.
Yeah, check Sing Sing out if you can. I'm sure that'll probably come closer somewhere during Oscar season. A few other movies, Hard Truths, The Piano Lesson, that's on Netflix right now. Amelia Perez, weirdest movie I've ever seen, but really in recent memory, it's a musical on Netflix. Check it out. It's actually in Spanish, but it's got like Selena Gomez. It's got I'm trying to think who else. Anyway, it's worth watching. Nickel Boys is another one that I hope makes it to Amazon Prime pretty soon. We talked about that. I read that book.
I think I saw an ad for that one.
Yeah, that's a straight A for me.
It's a good book, too, if you want to. Actually, it looks like that is on Amazon Prime officially. So it's like you're psychic. This is, you're listening to Andy's Best of 2024 list in no particular order. And the reason we're taking the time today to get to part 2 of recapping 2024 and looking ahead at 2025 is that the only new movie in theaters here in Logan this Friday, January 10th, is Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. starring Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. I shouldn't make fun. I maybe there's a huge fan base out there for this, but this is a sequel to 2018's action heist hit Den of Thieves, which actually wasn't bad, but the sequel definitely didn't need to happen. Big Nick Butler is back on the hunt in Europe and closing in on Donnie, O'Shea Jackson Jr., who is embroiled in the treacherous and unpredictable work of diamond thieves and the infamous Panther Mafia as they plot a massive heist of the world's largest diamond exchange. If you've seen the trailer, you know this is, you don't have to be a movie critic to, no offense, Mr. Morgan, but you don't have to be a film critic to know exactly what you're getting into with this one. It is rated R, and it is the only new movie in theaters here in Logan this weekend, but you can still see Nosferatu, also rated R, Mufasa, The Lion King, PG, Sonic the Hedgehog, 3, PG, Moana 2, PG, Wicked, PG, and playing only at the Providence Megaplex, Homestead, rated PG, is also in theaters here in Logan. But again, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, the only new movie hitting theaters this weekend. That'll all change next weekend, actually whole slew of movies to talk about next weekend. But this weekend, continuing and finally finishing Andy's recap of the best of 2024 and what you should keep an eye out for in 2025. And we'll keep the conversation going here on the For the People movie show right after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. If you find yourself feeling sick, you're not alone. Utah has seen a big spike in severe flu cases over the last couple of weeks, with 829 reported hospitalizations statewide, according to data from December 29th to January 4th. Now, that's up nearly 300 cases from the week before. Dr. Tom Nelson, who is medical director of the emergency department at Intermountain Medical Center, said that this feels like the most flu that he has seen in the last couple of years. Now, Nelson said anyone can be affected by influenza, no matter how healthy one is, but children, the elderly, pregnant people, and those with underlying health conditions are most at risk. Now, he explained the flu can get pretty dangerous pretty quickly. It's not uncommon to get secondary infections, too, so people can get the flu, and then it can develop into pneumonia. Now, doctors recommend that people watch for sudden onset of fever, body aches, sore throat, or dry cough. And while there's no cure, you can manage your symptoms through rest, hydration, and fever relievers like Tylenol and ibuprofen. Now, helpful prevention tips also include proper hand hygiene and getting a flu shot. Well, a student was booked into the Juvenile Detention Center after threatening another student with a gun at Springville High School yesterday afternoon. Police say the student faces related charges now of aggravated assault, brandishing a weapon, and taking a weapon to school. Now, around 1:30 yesterday, Springville officers were made aware of an incident at Springville High School that involved a student being threatened by another with a gun in the bathroom. Upon arrival with a heavy law enforcement presence at the school, officers determined the identity of the suspect and that they had left the school after the incident. Now, the suspect was later located by detectives and officers. It's believed it was an isolated incident between two students, and officials said there was no further threat to the public or student body. And despite pushback, Idaho is again targeting diversity and inclusion efforts on college campuses. Over the holiday break, the Idaho State Board of Education passed what it called the Resolution on DEI Ideology in Higher Education. Now, it would prevent what it says was central offices, policies, procedures, or initiatives on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, Francisco Salinas currently works at Spokane Falls Community College, but previously was employed at both the University of Idaho and Boise State University, including as Director of Student Diversity and Inclusion. He says that he worked with students and student groups that welcomed and supported peers with similar backgrounds and experiences.
I got to see it be transformational in the lives of students, and it was heartwarming, and that's why it's so heartbreaking to see these things taken away.
Now, higher education institutions are required to comply with the resolution by June 30th, but Salinas hopes that students in particular will feel that this is an ongoing discussion.
Because there was a decision decision made does not mean that the conversation is over. And that's the way that power works. It's an ongoing negotiation, but they need to know that they have a place in that negotiation.
Now, the board says DEI efforts in higher education are not welcoming for every student. Well, looking at a chance of snow headed our way as we head into tonight, as this storm expected to bring between 1 to 2 inches of snow to the valley, with more expected in the mountains. As we hit 32 for our high today, tonight we'll drop into the low 20s, then be back into the low 30s for tomorrow. Snow expected to still continue tomorrow morning, start to taper off by tomorrow afternoon. That's going to leave us with cloudy skies through the rest of the weekend. As Sunday, high temperatures expected to be around 29, and then we'll stay in the high 20s for the first of next week. And weather brought to you by Logan Extermination, helping to take care of your home and yard. And it's not too early to sign up for spring spraying that will be taking place once the winter is over. Give us Logan Extermination a call at 752-8450. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Update.
ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. As he prepares to leave office, President Biden is touting the December jobs report, 256,000 created during his final full month in office, unemployment down to 4.1%. He touted the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, and the CHIPS Act.
I believe the economy I'm leaving is the best in the world and stronger than ever for all Americans. So I think that's where we have. We'll see what the next president does.
Mr. Biden delivers his farewell address to the nation next week, Wednesday. The death toll from the Los Angeles wildfires rose to 11. The fires have destroyed more than 12,000 homes and other structures. Add Meta to the list of corporate entities jettisoning DEI, the parent of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, terminating major diversity, equity, and inclusion programs effective immediately for hiring, training, and picking suppliers. This is ABC News.
Did you know Darrell's technicians are factory authorized and trained to do your warranty work? This is Jay with Darrell's. Our repairmen have access to the largest parts department in northern Utah. That means we often get repair done the first visit. Schedule your appliance repair today to lock in your no-risk service. If you want new instead, you can apply your trip charge to an appliance purchase. See store for details. Darrell's, west on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me, I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News, the latest on the wildfires in the Los Angeles area as the region braces for another pickup in wind. Plus, how do you begin to rebuild? Also, as a candidate, Donald Trump sounded like a hawk on China. As president-elect, he appears to be softening his rhetoric. And the new rules for job searching when it comes to outreach and LinkedIn. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Hey, guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
For the People movie show, headed into the second hour of today's movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio. We've been recapping 2024. We've been talking about the future of movie theaters and bad hot takes in 2020 and 21, where everyone was predicting theaters would no longer be a thing, and yet here they are.
I think there's going to be a lot more. Well, let me tell you, to put a kind of a period on our conversation, I think you're still going to see a lot of this happening. There's going to be things that hit streaming where we're like, why didn't you put that in the theater? And there's going to be things that go to the theater that would be like, why didn't you put that in streaming? I do think that things are going to be more spread out. James Gunn brought up a really good point over the holidays when people were complaining about moving Batman to 2027. And he was like, look, man, like Alien came out in 78 and or 79, one of the two. Aliens came out in 1986. You know what I mean? Like this whole year, we've kind of been spoiled with this, like, it's a show, then 2 years later, or a show and a year later, right? That's just, I don't think it's sustainable anymore. I think I actually think too, with the crossover with people doing shows on streaming plus movies, people want to have careers, and I just don't think you're going to see this constant. So I think it's going to be a good thing. That said, really quick, because I think the listeners today also probably want to know what is playing if you want to go see a movie this.
I think everyone wants to know if they should see Nosferatu.
Yeah, there's not a lot brand new in theaters this weekend.
Not in Logan.
No. If you were heading over to the University Theater, Nosferatu, as Jason just mentioned, is playing. That came out on Christmas Day. That was one of my favorite movies of the year. Very creepy.
I think we should tell everyone, though, this is being referred to as Eggers' weirdest movie. And if you've seen any of his other stuff,
I would say, I mean,
this might not be for you.
Well, and it's definitely not as weird. I don't think it's his weirdest. Lighthouse is probably his weirdest. Nosferatu is the closest thing to The Witch, I think. It is a little bit more mainstream,
atmospheric.
But again, it's just it's creepy.
So what I loved about The Witch is it was creepy, and then you kind of reflect on the movie after or on a second viewing and think there really wasn't that much scary in it.
No,
at all.
But
you're tense the whole. Is it like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I enjoy that kind of horror movie.
Yeah. We also have Mufasa, The Lion King. That was Barry Jenkins from Moonlight. That's in theaters. That's doing really well. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which actually has really good reviews.
That's kind of surprised me.
Kraven the Hunter, which is not doing well. Sony just can't buy a bucket at this point. Moana 2 is in theaters. That has done really well as well. Wicked is also still in theaters. That's out playing at the University at Providence. Not much different as far as Moana, Wicked, Mufasa, Sonic. But there are two other movies. The Fire Inside. This is a Amazon MGM kind of movie. You may be able to stream this at a later date. But
I would guess.
Yeah, this is a good movie. It didn't quite make my top movies of the year, but it's
worth seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. There's also another movie. I don't know why I just laughed when I said this. It's Homestead. I laughed, you sighed. It's this crew of actors
these are movies for people who played too much Call of Duty. And now they're middle-aged and bored.
Well, but but
they want those fantasies kept alive.
Somebody's going to get mad when I say this, but I think the theme with Angel Studios is they're also like, hey, we need some recognizable actor faces, so let's go find those people that are like, one time I was asked to kiss a woman in a movie, and I said no, and then I was blacklisted. And everyone's like, you weren't blacklisted, bro.
The victim, the Kevin Sorbos.
This is pretty much everyone in Homestead has been in Yellowstone at some point.
It's just not that you weren't good.
I mean, actually,
maybe that was it. Hercules.
No, it's actually kind of sad. Neil McDonough, who's in this, I feel like has been in a lot of.
No, that's what surprised me. He is good, actually.
Yeah, he's a great villain. He's just got that villain face.
I feel like Angel Studios could actually do something if they would because this to me looks like Red Dawn.
It is. It's a little bit Red Dawn.
But on a farm, and there's no Russians. And
yeah. No, I mean, I'm not, that's not me like criticizing Angel Studios. It just, what I'm saying is it's formulaic.
That sound of.
It's formulaic a little bit.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Angel Studios was the studio behind the Operation Underground Railroad movie. That then right after it came out, all the rest came out, and it turns out there was very little factual about his story, and he was kind of a creeper too, allegedly. And
I don't know about allegedly. I've read that.
Yeah,
I've read Tim Ballard's texts.
His own response to some of the allegations.
If he sent those,
in and of
if
itself,
he sent those texts to my wife, I would be concerned.
Yeah. So Angel Studios came out of the gate with their first big movie, and it just
did really well.
It
made
did
a lot
really
of money.
well, and then like a month later, everyone's like, "Oh, but none of it was true." Tim Ballard made it all up,
and there was allegations.
So they're trying to dig out of that.
People were going into the theater, and they were like, "Hey,
yeah, you could
if
buy
this
tickets.
is making a ton of money, why am I in here?"
You could buy tickets for friends.
Or why is
that was the whole campaign?
Yeah, why is it sold out? Like people, conservative groups were buying theaters out. Even though nobody was there,
just so the ticket sales would be high, and
it's like when.
And to be fair, Angel Studios was not a part of any of this. They just made the movie, and they thought it was a true story when they made it.
Yeah, they
because
know.
Why would he lie?
They know.
Well, it turns out
they know their
he
audience.
Had a few reasons.
They know their audience.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is there is an audience for this type of thing, but they just need to be a little more responsible about how they're putting them out there.
And I know we're going to talk about the best of 2024, but I just want to give people kind of a little bit of a heads up of kind of what's coming in the next
because this
month.
is a bit of a lull before
this is
long
actually
stretch of new stuff.
This month actually works out really well for me because I see a lot of movies at the end of the year, and it just gets, sometimes you do get a little bit of an overload.
A really quick thing. Did you talk about the War of the Rohirrim?
Well, we talked about that.
How is that doing?
That didn't do well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's now streaming.
I couldn't find the box office numbers.
Yeah, you can check that out.
It's already streaming.
The big movies coming in January are there's Flight Risk at the end of January with Mark Wahlberg playing a villain, and that's Mel Gibson directing, which I love it how they're like, Mel Gibson, problematic. Let's not say his name. So they'll be like, from the director of Braveheart. And
some guy,
yeah. There's another scary movie from Leigh Whannell, Wolfman, that's coming out January 17th.
I like what Leigh Whannell
Yeah, he did Invisible Man.
I saw a trailer for that, and it looked kind of...
I'm excited.
But Leigh Whannell, I'd go see it, I guess.
Yeah, I think it looks good. Then there's a movie that's it was released last month in limited release. It's called September 5th. This is like the kind of live unfolding of events during the Munich Olympics when the athletes were taken hostage, and kind of how this sports crew sort of had to transition to a news crew very fast.
Really?
Yeah. And that got some nominations in our group.
That's very nice.
Yeah, very good movie. January 17th, wide.
Okay.
And then a couple others, Den of Thieves 2, which Jason, I knew you did not know you wanted, but you will get.
You know what? We should start the year with a Gerard Butler vehicle. I said to myself.
Gerard Butler, guns, Ice Cube's son.
Discount Liam Neeson.
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
That's what I call him.
I call him Portly Neeson.
That works too.
That's not very nice.
Chunky Neeson.
It's a Ben and Jerry's flavor. Anyway, One of Them Days is another movie. I can't really figure out what that is. I feel like that's it feels like a reimagining of that movie Friday with Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
and
the cover or the poster even looks Friday and barbershop-y.
Also, Megaplex will be doing different anniversary things all through the month. By the way, this is not sponsored content, so I'm just telling you, if you were really waiting for all the Twilight Marathon,
be sure to order your giant book of popcorn when you get your tickets.
That's happening in January. Also,
do you know what the Secret
Goonies
Cinema
40th
thing? Oh yeah, I saw that 40th anniversary end of the month, right?
Yeah, that is a.
Do you know what the Secret Cinema thing that Megaplex is doing is? There are these dates through January, and just
they surprise you.
Oh, that seems. Who's doing that?
I don't. I mean, I got to be honest.
Buy a ticket just to see who else is there.
Here's what I'd say: January is like kind of this the deep breath before the plunge, because when we hit February, there's a lot of stuff coming. I mean, there's a lot. We've got Captain America: Brave New World, Paddington, The Monkey. Just a lot of stuff, and as we roll into March and April, it just feels like it's just crazy. So
that is The Monkey based on a Stephen King story, right?
Yes, and from Osgood Perkins, who made a name for himself with Longlegs.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
He actually, you should check it out. He posted, I think it's either on YouTube or maybe it was on Twitter. He posted a little holiday. He said, here's a little clip. And they played quite a bit of this clip. And then right when it's kind of going to hit to the part where you call it like the climax, he's like, and that's enough. He's like, really? We'll see you in February. It was actually pretty clever. Yeah. But let's take a step back.
Okay.
Let's take a step back in time, Jason, just you and me. Let's get the DeLorean. Let's go back to 2024. Let's start at the beginning of the year. Okay. Your future's not written, Jason. That's what Doc Brown would say. He's like,
that's true.
Who knows what's going to happen? But we're going back in time, you and me, in the DeLorean, the movie DeLorean. So my first favorite movie of the year that made, my top 10 list for sure was Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
I didn't love the way it ended, but it had so many other amazing things in it that it's hard not to give that movie.
It was very good.
Straight up A. I mean, again, acting, action, it was just great. It's just great.
I thought
I love Dune.
It was, they did it well. That was always going to be the slower, more difficult part of the story, the second movie. But they did it really well, and they somehow made it an action movie still. Even though there's very little action in that part of the book.
There's a couple others that I'd like to throw out that kind of bookmarked Dune. And these didn't get A's from me. I'm going to focus on the A's, but as we go through the year, I do want to throw out some kind of B's and B pluses that were surprises to me. The kind of movie that, you and I always talk about where you're like, well, I don't think I'm going to go buy that on physical media.
Yeah.
But, you flip on the TV one day and you're like, oh, look, it's The Beekeeper.
Yeah.
And that was actually one I wanted to point out is
those end up becoming favorite. A Few Good Men is like that for me. I saw it in theaters. It was just good. It was okay. But now every time I catch that, I if I have time, I finish it.
Yeah.
It's just a good movie.
Yeah.
And
you're like, oh, look, it's Few Good Men. I guess I'll sit down and watch. Yeah. The Beekeeper was a movie like that for me. That was Jason Statham. And it was the kid that played PETA from The Hunger Games, playing a guy that you were like, man, I can't wait till that kid gets his butt kicked by Jason
he was
Statham.
so unlikable on purpose.
Yeah, there were some modern ties to that, but again, I thought it was a pretty decent movie. Another one that came out after Dune Part 2 that I really liked, that I gave a B to, was a movie called Late Night with the Devil. I don't know if you saw this. There were some corny things about it that made it.
That creeped me out.
But it was I thought it was, I like when somebody
completely forgot about that movie.
Yeah, if you have a chance to see that.
It was unexpectedly creepy. And all of it centered around, for those not familiar, all of it centered kind of around a late night TV show set, like a Phil Donahue tabloid style. Anyway. That one, by the way, is on Amazon as well. So, recapping 2024, looking ahead at 2025. The reason we're doing that, again, is that the only new movie in theaters here in Logan this weekend is Den of Thieves 2 Pantera with Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. This movie is exactly what the name would make you expect. If you were a fan of the first one, you'll probably like this one. If you were middle of the road on the first one, this one's probably not worth your time. If you didn't care or didn't see the first one, you can also not care and not see this one. There's plenty else to see, though. We'll talk about what you can get out to this weekend and what's coming as the For the People movie show continues right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KDNU.
The colder weather is here. Are your quilts and blankets looking dingy? Is your winter coat or jacket dirty enough to stand in the corner just by itself? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It'll take no time at all to freshen up everything. They have the 55 and 80-pound washers, the biggest around, and great big dryers, too, and it costs a whole lot less than dry cleaning. Free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town on the corner of 5th East, 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham at 1st East, 7th South. Mount Logan Laundry.
Our military faces a crisis. Recruitment down. Morale weak. Our leaders more focused on going woke than killing terrorists and defending America. President Trump nominated Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense to change things. Hegseth isn't an insider or a swamp dweller. He's a decorated veteran of the United States Army who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's exactly who we need leading the Department of Defense. Hegseth will ban woke nonsense from our armed forces, strengthen our military, and make our soldiers proud to serve. Call your United States Senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them stand with Trump. Confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Again, call your senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them to vote to confirm Pete Hegseth and make our military great again. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance, reminding you that when you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Wrapping up this week's movie show with a look ahead. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, again, the only new movie in theaters here in Logan this weekend. Like I say, you know exactly what this is, and if it's your thing, good for you. It's playing a lot of times. You can also see Nosferatu, Homestead, Mufasa the Lion King, Sonic 3, Moana 2, and Wicked. So, yeah, a lot of what's already been here, and one that I'm guessing most people aren't that interested in. Next weekend, though, it's on. Coming up, in fact, the first 2 months of the year, we have Wolfman Flight Risk. We have Wolfman. Don't scoff at that one yet. I know, werewolf movie, but this one looks a bit different. Nickel Boys, as Andy mentioned, coming back to theaters for award season if you can't find it on the streaming services. A Peter Pan horror movie, a Led Zeppelin biopic in IMAX, a re-release of Goonies, Valiant 1, and the new Captain America. That's all in the first 2 months of the year of 2025. And that's just me scanning as quickly as I can. Oh, The Monkey, based on a Stephen King short story. Yeah. We'll talk about it all next week as Andy Morgan returns for a new episode.